Hello, kiddos. This is chapter 10 of The Enormous Egg, and they have all the scientists have come to look at the little triceratops. So we will get right down to reading. Well, the crowds kept gathering that way for almost a week, but after that it began to quiet down a little. The Freedom Sentinel had never sold so many copies before, and Pop had to run through a second printing of about 2,000 copies to keep up with all the visitors. The grocery store ran out of ice cream and soft drinks every day except Thursday, when we had a thunderstorm in the middle of the afternoon. By Saturday, things had calmed down again. There were just one or two people at a time now, mostly scientists from way off somewhere like Wisconsin or Kentucky, that couldn't get here any sooner. One very dignified-looking man with a big beard came all the way from Toronto, Canada. He stood looking at Uncle Beasley for the longest time. Finally, he turned to Dr. Zemer and said, "I say, I do believe you're right." When I first heard the news, I thought you American paleontologists had gone off half-cocked about this, but I must say, I have been quite convinced. Quite. Ah, you must be Kennedy from the National Museum? No, I'm Zemer, and you're from Toronto, you said? Yes, Morrison's the name. Dr. Zemer looked awfully pleased. "Why, Professor Morrison," he said, "I'm very happy to see you. It was very good of you to come. You know, I must admit I've had my doubts about whether this really is a dinosaur, but if you agree, then I'm not going to worry any more." Professor Morrison smiled. "You know, Zemer, I'm curious about what you plan to do with this amazing specimen. Will you be able to take good care of him? I'm never sure what you Americans may do with valuable things like this. You're all such super businessmen over here that I shouldn't be at all surprised if you sold this animal to Hollywood or used it to advertise a Frankfurter stand. You will be careful of it, won't you? You'd better speak to the owner." Dr. Zemer said, pointing to me. "Nate Twitchell, this is Professor Albert Morrison, the world's greatest authority on dinosaurs." "So you're the owner," Professor Morrison said, and his eyes sort of twinkled as he talked to me. "My boy, you have a most remarkable creature here. It's very precious to us all, and it's precious because it's alive. Remember that, won't you? I hope you'll do everything you can to keep it alive." "Yes, sir," I said, "I will." "Good boy," Professor Morrison said. "I know we can count on you." Later that afternoon, I sat down under the maple tree in the yard to see what the newspapers had to say about Uncle Beasley. I'd been so busy the last few days I hadn't had a chance. This is what the New York Times had said. Here's a picture of Nate sitting under the tree. This is a clipping from the New York Times. "Live dinosaur hatches from hen's egg. Freedom, New Hampshire, August 4th. Scientists from all over the country are flocking to the little town of Freedom to see their first living dinosaur, which hatched recently from a hen's egg on the farm of Nathan Twitchell. Just how this animal, whose race has been extinct for millions of years, could have hatched from a hen's egg is unexplained. Paleontologists have gathered here from New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Chicago, and elsewhere over the United States, and they all agree that it actually is a dinosaur of the type known as Triceratops, a grass-eating reptile with 3 horns and a great bony collar over its neck. This species of dinosaur is known to have reached the length of more than 20 feet, weighing 10 tons when fully grown. I heard someone walking up the path, so I put down the paper. There was a man in a blue shirt carrying his coat over his arm. "Hello, Mac," he said. "Is this the place with the dinosaur?" "Yep," I said. "Your name Nathan Twitchell?" "Yep." "Can I look at the dinosaur?" "Sure," I said, and I led him out to Uncle Beasley's pen. Uncle Beasley was asleep, stretched out on his side in the sunshine. "You sure he's alive?" the man said. "Sure is. You see him breathing?" The man nodded. "My name's Bill Griner. I got a gas station up to Conway, and I heard about this dinosaur you got down here. I got to thinking that would be a swell thing to have in a cage outside my gas station. The stations are all doing that now. They got bears or a raccoon or maybe a monkey. It's good for business. People stop and buy gas at a place that's got animals. Now, if I had this dinosaur up there, I'd put up a big sign, 'Only living dinosaur in the world,' and just about everybody would stop to see it and buy gas. See what I mean?" I nodded. I saw what he meant all right, but somehow I didn't take to the idea. "Well, now, how much did you want for him?" the man said. "I'd be willing to give you a good price." "Oh, no, thanks," I said. "I want to keep him." "But look, kid, I'm offering you real money. You got no use for a dinosaur, and you got all that work taking care of him and feeding him and all that. Just let me take him off your hands, and you can make a nice profit on him. What do you say?" "I just don't want to sell him," I said. "But what's the sense of that, kid? What good is it to you? It's too ugly for a pet, and there's no market for dinosaurs these days, and it's going to be a big expense to feed in the winter." "But I said I wanted to keep him," I told the man. "But I don't see it," he said, looking kind of annoyed at me. "You're not using it for anything, and I could make good money on it. Why don't you let me have it?" "But I just want to keep it," I said. "Isn't that all right if I just want to have it? Do I have to have a reason for everything?" The man shrugged his shoulders and turned away. "Well, okay, kid, have it your own way. But if you change your mind, let me know. Here's my address." He gave me a slip of paper and walked back to his red pickup truck. He raced the engine a few times and spun the truck around and zoomed off up the street, leaving a big cloud of dust behind. Almost every day there'd been somebody who wanted me to sell Uncle Beasley to him for some reason or other. A great big yellow convertible drove up one time, and a smooth-looking man with a little bit of black mustache got out. He started to offer me a cigarette from a silver cigarette case, but then he changed his mind, I guess. "Does Mr. Nathan Twitchell live here?" he asked. I told him yes. "Is he home?" "Yep." "Well, run along and tell him I'd like to speak with him on business." He turned away, and he didn't pay any more attention to me, as if he was a king or something, and I was just there to run errands for him. I didn't like his high-handed manner too much, so I just stood there. Oops, an interruption here.